Welcome to the Global Education Station Presents. I'm Annette Levesque, your host, education and technology strategist, and author of eLearning Gold, the ultimate guide for leaders. In each episode, we explore innovative ideas and best practices in education, connecting with directors, CEOs, authors, and thought leaders. Together, we'll share stories and insights to inspire and engage learners globally. Welcome back, everyone. Today, I'm thrilled to welcome a powerhouse in global education, environmental advocacy, and women's empowerment, Dr. Mishkat Al Moumin. As the founder and CEO of the Communication of Success and executive director of Envirolution, Mishkat has spent over 2 decades transforming educational and environmental landscapes, from serving as Iraq's Minister of the Environment, mobilizing $70 million for critical initiatives, to empowering rural women through education and environmental training. Her impact is truly global. I'm so excited to have this conversation. Hello, Mishkat.
Oh, Annette, thank you so much for having me. I'm honored to be with you today and to have this wonderful opportunity to chat with you, learn from our audience and be there with you.
That is fantastic. So maybe today we can get started with you telling me a little bit about your story and how you became the CEO of the Communication of Success and what it's all about.
Thank you so much for that question. Honestly, throughout my career, I found out that no matter what we do, there is a gap in communication. I experienced that as a teacher when I started teaching back in Iraq. I noticed that the gap between where the students are coming from and where teachers are coming from is wide. The way I try to redeem it is through scenario-based learning. Rather than asking students to recite legal articles, I gave them case studies and asked them to reflect on it and tell me what would they do if they were presenting clients working on these cases. Similarly, when I became the Minister of the Environment, I found out that there is a huge miscommunication between what environment is being perceived as a concept among the community and the mandate that the ministry needed to do. The way I bridged this gap by engaging community members and community leaders with a focus on indigenous leaders and community members. One of the most exciting moments in my career, which worth more than all the money I raised, when the tribal leaders brought their wives to an official meeting to discuss the rehabilitation of the Iraqi marshland, a unique ecosystem in the entire Middle East region, date back more than 3,000 years BC. They told me, just like you attend meeting and you represent the community, we want our women to join us and represent their community. I was really thrilled and honored, which led later on to founding Women and the Environment organization that operated among rural women to allow them to be community leaders around environmental resources. In these communities, women are the primary users responsible for, water and making sure that, their houses are maintained with services. Later on, I joined the Defense Language Institute, and I was and still is passionate about the mission to equip service members with tools and resources to utilize rather than weapons. One of them happened to be language. Later on, I also continued my journey to work as the academic managing director for the National Judicial College. And I was honored to help judges nationwide complete their education. Then an opportunity came with Envirolution, who was looking for an executive director, and I was selected to serve more than 70 Title I schools in Reno, and then Nevada. We expanded to California, Maine, and Arizona. I founded the Communication of Success because truly the road to success passes through communication. If the leader cannot communicate their vision, their goals, no one can achieve anything. And I want to be there for any leader to help them, empower them, provide them with tool or resources to utilize to reach out to their community. If you go to the website, you would notice that there are many downloadable tools for free to help these leaders achieve their goals. And that's my
Wow.
story. And I hope that, it can be, a little bit of a career path for someone who is looking to become a leader within their community.
That is quite an amazing journey and a lot to unpack. Wow. So, just going back, so prior to women attending the meetings, for the environment, was that an atypical thing for women culturally to attend the meetings? And your initiative has just launched this so it became possible? What did it look like prior to your initiative?
That question. Oftentimes, women, especially in the Middle East, are an afterthought. And, they are seen in their roles as housewives more than anything else. When I became the minister of the environment, I came to understand the hard way that empowering communities around environmental management is key to transitioning to peace. I cannot tell you how hefty the price I paid was. I was constantly attacked. In one incident, I saw 4 of my bodyguard killed. I escaped death by a second. The team and I were attacked by a suicide bomb attackers. And later on, Al Qaeda issued a statement claiming the full responsibility for it. They said, "We will continue to hunt her wherever she goes," because to them, they perceived me to be the pillar of the infidel. The thing that I was trying to achieve was provide environmental and basic services to communities. The thing is, Baghdad is a desert climate. It gets more than 100 degrees in the summer, more than that. Half of the city does not have access to safe drinking water. All that results in communities being aggravated, grieving, and blaming the government for it. Using that grievance, all these insurgents group, they were utilizing it to recruit. When resources became available, less recruitment was possible. And to be honest with you, when I started the campaign, I did not know that I was providing these services to help the community, and that would be the impact of it. I continue serving and I continue to focus on communities, and I took time to listen to them. So, part of the bond that was established between me and tribal leaders, indigenous leaders, was that I kept an open door policy. Whenever they come, I would drop everything, no matter what it is, and meet them, greet them, listen to them, take notes, and then review my resources to make sure that I can provide them with the help they needed. And that's how we started learning. When you have trust, when you establish trust through your communication, through practicing inclusive listening, you don't listen to reply, you listen to understand, take notes, reflect, make sure you got, the idea behind the meeting, behind the communication completely synchronized. From there, I did several projects to help them, to include even reaching out to other ministries and engaging them in providing services. That bond was, the base for engaging the international community further and to provide all these fundings to help the country heal. After my term has ended, the same community approached me and they said, we want these programs to continue and we want education for our community. I took the opportunity to ask them, is it okay to operate among the women? And they accepted. So we started having sessions, educating people, educating women about, environmental management and environmental resources. Oftentimes, women brought their kids with them. There wasn't a story when one of the young girls, she answered a tough question the facilitator was asking, and her brother immediately turned and said, "I did not know you are that clever. I only ask you to clean my room and bring me water, but you are clever." Honestly, that type of change, the change from within, could not be fostered without bridging the communication gap. When I first started my work as the Minister of the Environment, I came to understand people thought of the environment as a luxury concept. So we can have environmental protection once we have done, rehabilitating the country and the economy recovered, once we have completed everything. And oftentimes it's associated with, just images of celebrities trying to advocate for an endangered species. This connection between environment and peace building was, the highlight of my career. And I cannot tell you how delighted I was when I saw the Environmental Law Institute in DC establishing the Al Moumin Award for Environmental Peace Building. It meant the world to me. It meant that when I put my life on the line, there was a reward somehow. It meant that the concept I was visualizing was true and valid. These situations, living in war zone, constantly fighting for a concept that is, marginalized, will teach you not to raise your voice, but would teach you to think critically and to utilize your tools. That's why I'd like to build these tools, starting from your leadership philosophy all the way down to your decision-making matrix, to help leaders in critical situations find their way and find their voice. And, that's what the communication of success stands for. That's why I'm passionate about helping other leaders and, allowing each member of the team become a leader and find their own voice.
Wow. So, dialing back a little bit, you saw four of your bodyguards
Yes.
killed in front of you.
Yes.
Is it your perception that this happened or that you were targeted because you were a woman yourself in a leadership position providing education, or because of the activities you were engaged in providing environmental education to women and putting other women in leadership positions within the communities? What's your sense about that?
Honestly, I truly believe it's a little bit of both. Being a woman in a leadership position and being able to connect with the community is is an achievement by itself. I still recall when I accepted the assignment, a conversation between me and one of my mentors back then. And honestly, I was concerned for my safety. Um, but the advice I was given is that, why are you worrying? They would go after, the big fish, the Minister of Interior. the Minister of Finance, but it would take them a whole lot to get down to the Minister of Environment. It was a newly established ministry. Iraq did not have one before. And, to establish it from scratch and connect it with the community was the task. Even during the attack, I was in the car that was attacked, and, the car was extremely damaged. The team leader of my bodyguard managed to get me out of the car. But with me was my official phone, my briefcase containing a lot of, sensitive information. And, there was a shooting on top of it. And I don't know, honestly, until today, the source of the shooting, who was shooting at whom. Nevertheless, I decided to go back to the car and retrieve my phone and my suitcase. When after dropping a bodyguard who was injured, I went immediately to the office to stay with my team, to let them know that I'm here for them. I cannot tell you how shaking how shaken I was. Honestly, I felt like the world was spinning around me. The images of my bodyguard being the whatever was left of them, the story they told me, because they would pick me up every day. One of them was recently married, one of them was engaged, the other was taking care of his elderly parents. I couldn't shake that off of my mind. And nevertheless, I didn't want the employees to feel like they are left without a leader. I also didn't want to go home and, look like I'm scared to come to the office or to be among employees. Later on, going to the office itself was an issue because, if it happens once, it can happen another time. And I needed to take every single measure to make sure that I can get from from home to office safely. I still recall at one point I was transported in a trunk of a car. It was that dire. And again, all I truly wanted to achieve is to build this understanding that peace cannot be built without proper management of environmental resources. You cannot build a country, you cannot build a system, you cannot build anything without water, without energy, without clean air. That's my understanding of environmental peace building. After my term ended and I moved to study at Kennedy School of Government at Harvard University, I started to learn more about this concept. And, the literature, the assignment provided me with a sense of validation, so to speak. And then I connected with the Environmental Law Institute. We start working on several projects, and oftentimes we notice that we continue to go back to this concept of environmental peace building. The Environmental Law Institute took the idea, run with it. And again, that, these research projects, these meetings that we had, the understanding provided me with more motivation to continue working towards this concept of achieving environmental peace building. I continue to be hopeful. I continue to hope that, with everything that we are hearing around the Middle East, that environmental peace building is the way forward. It can be done. And it's the simple answer to this complicated question: why peace cannot be built. It's not because we don't have democracy. It's not because we don't have security. It's because we don't have water. It's because we don't know how to manage it when we have it. That's why, for example, you look back and you see, well, Iraq is the country between two rivers. However, they are facing water shortage. How come? You cannot establish peace in a country that has no basic needs. And oftentimes you would see people demonstrating in the street, asking for electricity, asking for services. That's the reason behind it. So we have to start um, from the basis. Sometimes I feel the answer is too simple. That's why it's overlooked. But I took every chance possible to advocate for it and continue to advocate for it. And that was the concept that accompanied me throughout, whether as, an educator, as a director, as a leader. I always look for the gap in communication, how to bridge it, and how to build harmony. I have to say, one of the dear and near awards to my heart was when the commandant of the Defense Language Institute gave me the Coin of Excellence in 2014. It says, because you brought peace and harmony to the Iraqi department. That meant the world to me. It meant that there is hope for the country, there's hope for the people. All we need to do is to communicate well, start using the communication as basis to bring people together, rather than isolating one and including one or trying indirectly to undermine somebody. And again, that's why I continue to offer these tools, these anecdotic experiences to people who would like to share or reflect on these experiences.
Wow. So this brings to mind, conversations I've had as a woman, female education professional myself, who's traveled the world and worked with organizations all over the world to help them increase access to education for all, but specifically women in rural regions or developing countries, by building virtual education systems or hybrid education systems and helping them, assessing where they are and then helping them take the next steps. I've landed in some very interesting countries. And, as a Canadian female, I enjoy very many rights and freedoms in my own country that you really don't realize what a shock it is if you get on a flight that's just 10 hours away at how different things are. And I've always said, you're adjusting, engaging your own moral compass because the rights and freedoms I enjoy here, um, they have to shift slightly when I land somewhere else. And then it becomes, well, how much am I willing to allow them to shift to be there and to work there? And I've gone from being in the same country and being greeted as a CEO and granted all the rights and privileges of a visiting dignitary CEO to, in the same moment or with the same groups, then being asked to serve somebody who's male at the table because that is what is done, and having to pause myself and think, what's the right move, Annette, in
Yes.
this situation? Um, so I've struggled with that traveling and had to think, what is the greatest good here today? But no, I didn't serve anyone at the table. I'm sorry, I couldn't do that.
I
But
understood.
I think of that, and I've come home flabbergasted with those conversations, and landed in areas where I'm greeted by only all males with machine guns at an airport, and thinking, was this a good decision to land here today? To hearing you say you literally at times had to travel in the trunk of a car to be safe on your way to work. Where, Mishkat, did you find the inner strength and the stamina? Like, what propelled you to keep moving forward? And despite, seeing four of your bodyguards killed, despite the challenges you're facing in the acceptance of women in these roles um, within your country, where did you find the strength? Like, what kept you going and to get into the trunk of that car? Because I'm not sure I could get into the trunk of the car to show up at work.
Honestly, two things. One of them was and continue to be every single a community member, whether, male or female, that I met. And, when I look at their eyes, I can see hope. I can see kindness. I can see, that the good that's in there. And I met so many. I feel I had the privilege of meeting so many of these people. So, seeing people for who they are and living among them. So, that experience was not the only one. I survived 3 wars, not one. So, if you count the Iraq-Iran war, even the civil war in Lebanon, where my mom was from, and then the Desert Storm, and then Operation Iraqi Freedom. I lived through the UN embargo, and saw how the average Iraqi person suffered because they go home and there is no food. At the same time, I saw the element of the regime getting fatter and fatter. So, being a community member myself and remembering those people who their hearts were full of kindness and support, especially women. So, my neighbor, Miss Amal, she was always there, happy to help, check on me. Do you need anything? Can I help you with something? Those type of people will stay with you and they will provide you with hope. The other thing is that, your personal standards, you are in this position to serve. That's why I, give it my best. That's why you travel from one country to another, because you feel you have a mission, you have your own calling. You need to serve people. That's what type of a leader you are. On top of it, I know these people. I lived among them. They were my neighbors. They were my friends. They were family members, my students. And when you connect with the community that way, that will give you, I would say, the motivation, the drive to continue and continue serving. It's true. As a leader, you need your own internal, support circle. You would need to kind of take a minute to reflect. Perhaps that didn't happen to me a lot. Perhaps my inner circle was maybe just the team that I worked with. Or, I managed to read a couple of books here and there outside of the required reading for my position. But nevertheless, the motivation to serve is what keeps you going. You feel you have a mission to accomplish, you have a calling to achieve. And once you know the people, you strive to serve them. And by the end of the day, this is what leadership is about. That's why I adhere to servant leadership. Not only because it's the approach that provides the team with the most support they need, but also as a leader, it helps me accomplish my mission.
That is so admirable. So, listening to you, you've said that we need to change perceptions of environmental education and resource management from that as a luxury to a critical component in educating communities to bring peace. And so that communities will be more aware of how to manage their resources. What were maybe the 2 or 3 major goals of these programs that you've set up to provide this type of education to women?
So basically, the first step is to provide them with the basic understanding of what what does it mean to have environmental resources and what does it mean to manage them. The basic understanding of environmental education and management. Then you need to have collaborative decision making. That's the most important piece. That's the center. After you educate people, you have to help them find a way to make decisions about these resources. If one group and one group only, regardless of, the identity of that particular group, is making the decision, your decision is not serving these or not, you know, maintaining and sustaining the resources. You have to maintain the resource. You also have to sustain it so as future generation can have access to it. So to have collaborative decision-making processes where every single voice is heard, every single contribution has a place, from there, you can create a base for environmental peace building. Environmental peace building does not start with exclusion. By the end of the day, all of us, regardless of our background, religion, race, ethnicity, we all want clean water. We all want clean air. We all want to make sure that our kids and grandkids have access to these resources. So, with collaborative decision making comes the responsibility of decision making. And that's why you see rural communities very cognizant about, for example, pollution. The limitation that can be placed on accessing water or using water, because they see it day in and day out. They just don't know how to manage it properly. With that, you have to bring the management to a local level rather than the centralized line. The difficulty is most of the Middle East was managed in a centralized way. I'm not talking about the modern history post World War I. Basically, even back before World War I, when the entire region was under the Ottoman Empire, highly centralized, no servant leadership. Access is given to friends and family. That process continued for more than 4 centuries almost. To change all of that, you had to go back to the root, and the root is rural communities, rural areas, providing them with the resources and knowledge they need to manage the environment that they are, living in, and they experience it every single day. So, these are the main ideas that I always start the conversation with, to help us understand that whatever term you want to use, it's absolutely fine. The only thing that we need to come to an understanding about is how are we going to provide clean water, clean air to communities? And what type of decision are we making to ensure that the quality of water, quality of air is adequate? And how can we empower, the next generation of leaders to manage it properly?
So you're saying this starts better if you're starting it within the community versus in a centralized approach within
Correct.
the government per se. So if in our audience of educators, we have those who are interested in perhaps starting environmental resource management education within their local community, where can they reach you? Where can they find you, Mishkat, if they have questions or would like to reach out to you for more information?
My website. So basically, if you go to the language of success, you click under about, you would see a way to communicate with me. I'm more than happy to share my email. It's mishkat at the languageofsuccess.net, and they can send me any question they have or any issue they'd like to discuss. I'll be more than happy to help.
That's amazing. Well, thank you so much, Mishkat, for
You.
joining me today and sharing your story and your insights on the importance of environmental education. I learned so much myself today from you, and I
Yeah.
truly am so grateful that you're able to be here and share some of your wisdoms from your journey, from your amazing journey.
Thank you. I really can't thank you enough for this opportunity. You have been so accommodating, so helpful, and your questions are very reflective. They engaged me in a journey down memory lane, so to speak, to pick from my experience and provide it and share it with our audience to see if they can benefit from it. Thank you so much.